So when I started Acing Languages, it was in my third year of university, like I said. It actually happened because COVID started. Oh, Jaja, Yapamaya, Jaja. No?
Hello everyone, welcome to the Breaking Onion podcast. We love to talk shop, uncover the beauty of failures, and play a few games. Today we have with us Kareena Aswani, the founder of Acing Languages. Kareena, how are you feeling?
Very good. Very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, Kareena, you were born and brought up in Spain. You went to business school in France, and that's where you did semesters abroad, I believe.
That's right. Yes. So I did a semester in Singapore. So ESSEC has a semester there as well, a campus. And then I went to Germany and I did Brazil as well.
Awesome. Then you interned and worked in Mumbai and Paris across product marketing, sales, and fashion. You've done many case competitions for various large organizations, and today you're a founder. So we're here today because of Acing Languages, and let's get into it with a quick little game.
Perfect.
So we're gonna play the Twitter pitch challenge. Twitter is known for its 280 character limit on every tweet, which sometimes makes it a little difficult to convey your thoughts. So you wanna convey this challenge to you to explain to us Acing Languages in 20 seconds, but we won't make it easy. We also want you to use one hashtag and one emoji in your tweet. So we have a stopwatch for you.
Okay, no pressure at all with the stopwatch, okay?
And you can start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, well, Acing Languages is an online language learning platform in which we have native teachers teaching foreign languages, and everything's very customized to our students. So we do language learning for business purposes, language learning for fun, language learning for academic purposes, and it's a lot of fun. And hashtag Acing Languages for life. Emoji, angel emoji. And globe.
A little over 20 seconds, but yeah, we can, I guess, delve deeper into like everything that you've mentioned.
Yeah, so Kareena, we've had over 60 guests on the podcast so far, and even then, one of the standout aspects of your experiences is your participation in Loreal, PwC, and Capsule's case competitions. Mm-hmm. So let's start with that. Why did you choose to apply to them, and what did you get out of it?
Right. So actually, that's a good question. So going back to my university life, I studied international business, which was the global BBA. And then within what I studied, they had a program of excellence. So 11 students were selected from the university, and then they traveled to these 4 continents. So the case studies were actually part of this program. So these 11 students had to work at PwC, Loreal, and then Capsule by Juliet is what we did in Singapore. So Capsule by Juliet is actually a fashion brand that opened in Paris and expanded to Singapore. And the founder, Juliet, was looking to expand her business into other countries as well. And she was looking at Southeast Asia. So she hired us, a group of 11 students, to work on this project and give her some recommendations. So that was the case study. And then in Germany with PwC, it was just talking about DAX 6. And the directive and whether it was effective or not. And finally, Loreal in Brazil, was working on this case study on how to use the Latin American machinery and how to optimize it. So this was all part of the curriculum. It's not something I applied for. It's something that I got into, and then it was part of what we had to do. But it was an amazing process. I learned a lot from each university and each case study in each country.
That's insane. That's like experience of a lifetime in a year and a half?
Thank you. Yes, that was in the last year and a half. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And especially working with people you really like and learning from people, who've been in the industry for years. Really nice. Yeah.
And was it the fact that, you grew up in Spain, went to Paris, then went to Brazil, then Germany? Mm-hmm. Is it because you had so many language barriers? Is that, in some way, shape or form, the root of your idea?
I think so. I think I've grown up with languages in general. It's not something that I decided to study, like Spanish, because I was born and brought up there. My dad's first language is French. So I think it's something that just naturally came to me. And then at ASEC at university, they encourage you to do a foreign language as well. So I did Italian there. I did a little bit of German in Germany, but then COVID hit. So I had to go back to Spain. But yeah, I think it's just something that I guess it's part of my DNA, and it's something I really enjoy. So yeah, it just happened naturally, I think.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think, like a lot of different languages. And a lot of people also say like when you learn a different language, it really helps with like a lot of even like your mental ability to deal with things
Yes.
and things like that. But I guess you went like across the world, like in terms of all the countries and cities that you've worked in or studied at. What was, I guess, your draw to come to Mumbai?
I think the most important thing is that Acing Languages was incorporated here. And then of course family, friends, and India is such a huge market for the company. I've always been in love with Bombay, honestly. It's home to me. Wherever family is home. So that's the reason why I'm spending so much time in Bombay growing the company. We're working with counseling companies from Bombay and across India as well. So I would say a huge part of our students and customer base is in India, which is why it makes sense to be here.
Cool, yeah. So I guess what is really like your differentiating factor in terms of Acing Languages, like given that we have Duolingo, we have Babbel, and we have other platforms like that as well. So how do you penetrate into a market like this?
Yes, I think two things that make us really different from all the other, very successful language learning platforms. One is that we have native teachers on the platform, and the other one is that what we do is very customized. So, for example, if you're working in the pharmaceutical industry, if you were to go to an academy and learn a language to be able to speak in a business context, it would probably take you, years to get up to that C1, C2 level. But what we say is in just 20 to 30 hours, we will customize and personalize a syllabus to you and your industry, and you'll be able to close a business deal in your language. So that's for business purposes. Then we also do academic training. So that's IGCSE and IB. So our teachers are actually products of the IGCSE and IB, which means that they've done the curriculum themselves. They're not just learning it, and they're natives too. And a lot of them are very young, so they connect with students directly. Then language learning for fun, if you're going to, say, Milan for fashion, we'll put you on to a teacher who's also from Italy who may have studied fashion. So I think that, customization and, pairing, matching teachers with students with a similar background from the same industry, that's what really makes us unique, I guess.
That would be like really hard, I guess, like to find the exact match for people if like it's that technical as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it requires a little bit of work, but I think, the company is turning 3 soon, this month, actually. I think the way students are applying, I think teachers have also heard about it, so they are also applying. And then, of course, I use my university network as well to find these people. So yeah, it's a little tough, but challenging at times, but it's good. It's worth it at the end of the day.
Now that you're, connecting people to people, right? That's essentially what you're doing.
Yes.
Where does your business model lie? How do you make money?
How do we make money? So we basically train teachers. That's our first thing. So it's not that we're just connecting, but they go through, an entire interview process, an entire training process. And then the students sign up with the business directly, with the company directly. And from there, we pay out teachers on a salary basis monthly.
So would they be like freelancers to a certain extent?
Yes, they would be freelancers. That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
What do they do when they're not teaching on Acing Languages?
So it really depends on our teachers. Some are working in companies. Others are students actually doing an MBA. So again, they're extremely qualified, but they're looking for something to do in their free time. So that's when they work with Acing Languages.
That's a really interesting supply market because, for example, if you consider Uber, right? And Uber is the first example of the gig economy that exists. The biggest problem they have is supply.
Right.
Which is an odd problem to have, right?
Yes.
Usually companies face a demand problem. But, and for them, it's so difficult for them because they need someone who knows how to drive at a minimum level.
Exactly.
Right? Which is a very unique skill to have. But knowing how to drive and wanting to, chauffeur people, that is like a small subset.
Right.
But for you, I guess your supply market is just someone who knows the language and is willing to do your training and then give the time.
Yes. No, but the example you gave is so accurate comparing Uber to, what we're doing as well. Because it's quite difficult to find people for exactly what you want. And they're only, so sometimes we face the problem where we have more students than teachers and we have to add them to a waiting list. So that's something that we need to work on, obviously. But I guess it's a good problem to have, right? That when you have more students than teachers. But yeah, then we form groups and we always make it work somehow.
Yeah, fair enough. So, you said that Acing Languages is turning 3.
Yes.
So, is this something that you did while you were at university
Yes,
as well?
exactly.
And was the idea the same? Like, has it evolved, or is it exactly what you thought of 3 years ago?
Right. So I started this when I was starting my third year of university. So I actually pitched it at ESSEC at my uni, and it was incubated there as well. And they gave me a lot of support, etc. I think the business has evolved. Our main focus was helping students with their academics, so that's there. But we've also expanded, and we're doing other things now. We're doing translations. We're doing the language learning for fun and language learning for business purposes, which I never thought we would do, because we're teaching other age groups, not just people in high school. So that has evolved a lot, and that has changed. And we've also started teaching little kids too. So from 5 onwards. So again, that approach is completely different, because kids, they need the 5 senses. So we make them use plasticine, we make them sing songs in Spanish or French or whatever language it is. So in that sense, it has evolved a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, the minute you said that, like, I studied French in school, and I remember
Really?
being like, in first grade, and we used to sing songs. Like, that's literally how we learned it.
Donc on peut parler en français.
Yeah, like, and now I couldn't have a conversation,
No.
but like those songs are still like etched
Stuck
in
in
my
your
memory.
head. Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's the best way to learn a language. Watching a movie, listening to music, speaking to a native, like
Yeah.
really indulging in the culture, not just learning from a book.
No, yeah, for sure. Like Aisha, the song.
Yes.
You know that? Yeah, that was
Yes.
like, I mean, that was later down, not in first grade, but
Right.
like that song, I think I can still like sing. I will not, but I think I still like can recite
Sing it,
that.
really? We're gonna ask her to do this at the end of the podcast.
Definitely.
No, I
That's
thought-
going to be our Instagram audio for the rest of
No.
like.
Amazing. It will go
Oh my God,
viral.
we're like, no, we're losing every single person. I can't sing. at the
No,
same time.
I'll sing with you.
Let's hope, because I'll just not like, I'll lip sync to you singing.
Yeah, but when you said French song, I just thought you were gonna say Jaja for some reason.
That I'm not sure actually.
No, the one that
We
goes,
like-
oh Jaja, y'a pas moyen Jaja. No?
No, the Champs-Elysees, like the
Oh,
song
Champs-Elysees.
we
That's
did
a
in
classic
first.
one. Yeah.
And then there was Jusqu'au bout by
Uh,
Ketonic. Like,
okay.
There was, I can't believe I actually remember all of this, but like there was like this teen band
Mhm.
that had a song called Jusqu'au bout.
Yeah.
And that was like a song, and then Aisha. I think like those 3 are like,
Stuck in your
Stuck in,
head.
yeah.
See, so they did a good job with
Yeah.
the songs. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Champs-Elysees is my favorite.
yeah, that was like first grade. But like you studied Spanish, right?
I did both. Yeah.
Oh, you
French
did?
and
Oh, okay.
Spanish.
Es verdad, podemos hablar en español. Contigo en
Un
francés
poco,
y contigo
un
en
poco.
español. Muy bien, un poquito.
I can understand you decently. Like I can watch Money Heist and like let go of the subtitles sometimes.
Yes, that's amazing.
But I can't speak it anymore. Unfortunately.
It'll come. It's just practice. Maybe you
Yeah.
need to sign
I
up
started
with
watching
Acing.
Money Heist because I was like, if nothing else, I'll just pick up Spanish again.
Right.
But I got bored of the TV show.
But Spain Spanish is actually, I would say, we speak really fast. So if
Yeah.
you're able to understand that without subtitles, that says a lot.
Even
Yeah.
French, like they
Yeah.
speak so fast. Because I
Mhm.
remember when I was still studying French, and I went for a trip,
Mhm.
and I was so like confident, being like, I will be able to like order
Right.
something,
Yeah.
and like I'll understand what's on the menu or like what people are saying. And the minute someone said something, I was like, okay, never mind.
No, but I understand this. I mean, French people, of course, they're super nice. But I
Yeah.
think even though Spain and France are so geographically close, I remember when I think I was like 7 or 8. And this is when I started learning
Yeah.
French in school. And my dad would speak to me. And of course, our nanny, like at home, was also she Moroccan. So
Yeah.
first language was French. And I went to Paris super confident. This was at the airport, Charles de Gaulle. And I go up to the counter and there's this huge line. And like 8-year-old me, little me, was like, bonjour, madame, est-ce que vous avez un croissant? She was like, vous voulez quoi? Like she started yelling at me. I was like, a croissant, please. Like I just switched to English immediately. So it can be a bit overwhelming. I understand.
Yeah, because I was around that age as well, like maybe like 11 or like a little older, like 11 or 12. But like, yeah, at that point, I was like, so this thing. And I think the difference is, and I think that's actually something that you are like kind of solving in Acing
Mhm.
Languages, is that we learn from a very academic point of view.
Mhm.
So a lot of it was not necessarily conversational
Right.
or a day-to-day thing.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, how do you solve like an IGCSE paper, or how
Mhm.
do you solve an IB paper? Like
Right.
that was more the direction of like the way it is. But like if you go for like your, I guess, just for fun classes, it's more conversational, and that's, I guess, easier to be in that country and have a
Absolutely.
conversation.
I think the end goal, of course, like I know that in India, I mean, the mentality in general is to get good grades. I mean, that's what I face because I don't blame anyone. It's a very it's a competitive place. You have to get people want to get into that Ivy League schools. Kids face a lot of pressure. But I think the end goal, of course, you want to get that 7 and 7 and A star, which students do get to with us. But it's also being able to go to the Spanish-speaking country or French-speaking country and be able to order and speak and converse. So I think that part is super important as well. That, as you said, they don't necessarily focus on in some schools.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it also helps if it's like a native speaker, right? Because again, like most of my teachers who were Indian and they were trained by the board.
Yes.
So that means like the way they are also taught to teach
Correct.
is in that
is in the ecosystem of the
right. So in that this thing, so it's not even I guess it's not even their fault like for teaching us in that way, but it's like
it's the way they learned it. Yes.
You know, I had a Spanish teacher, and she had obviously such a good grasp of the knowledge and of the language and the dialects that she told us, like she used to teach us. So I don't remember the other two, but I know that Spain has 4 dialects.
Right.
Many.
Castellano. Yes.
4 main.
Yes.
Like that
yes.
takes
You have Catalan, Valenciano, Gallego.
Exactly. So she said that like every time there was times when there's words that are pronounced differently in either dialect.
Yeah.
She would just like let us know, not explain it to us, but like just let us know.
Correct.
And I feel like that really is probably why I still understand in general.
Yes.
Because you can kind of gauge where if the pronunciation changes a bit, like it's okay, it's probably still this word.
No, and that's a huge plus. Like it's amazing you had a native teacher teaching you, because I think that makes a huge difference. Like even in Spain, when we speak, we have the gracias. If you go down to the south, they don't necessarily pronounce the S all the time. So these little tips, they really help you identify, okay, this person's from the north, this person's from the south, this person's from Latin America. So if you have a native explain to you, like, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Latin America, the word coger, it means something very different than it means in Spain.
Yeah.
So if you're not exposed to this and they don't teach you this in school, you will make that mistake. Or with French, you have the verlan.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it, but this is something that they didn't even teach me in school, but we've made it a point to teach it at Acing Languages. So for example, if you say thank you in French, it's merci. But in Paris, what they do is they switch the word around. They say si mer.
Oh.
Or like instead of saying femme, which means lady, they'll say meuf. So again, these are things that you're not taught in school, but when you're thrown into Paris or when you reach Paris, you'll hear these expressions and you're like, what are they saying? I've never learned this. So it's important to know these things, and you'll only get to know with a native.
But so coming back to Acing Languages, what's next for the company? Like, are you working currently on, let's say, stabilizing it, growing it, or expanding to a different vertical? What's next?
So I am definitely looking at stabilizing it, in the sense that right now a lot of what is done, because it's only a baby, it's turning 3, like I said, I like a lot of it I have to do myself. But right now I'm looking at hiring other people, so I can look at other parts of the business, other aspects of the business. So that part is happening, like training, getting more people for admin. We have 2 accountants on the team, so we're trying to train more people to help out with all of this. So I think we're at that stage where we're trying to grow and stabilize. Another thing we're looking at is working directly with universities. So like I said, ESSEC, we do get a lot of our teachers from the ESSEC network. But yeah, we would also like to work with other universities at some point, and maybe tie up with them directly, not in France but in other countries as well. So that's something that we're looking at. Yes, exploring.
And if I remember correctly, you have 6 languages that you offer right now.
Yes, we've taught 10. But of course, the most popular ones, like you said, Spanish and French are the main ones because they're done for academic purposes. German as well. Then I would say Mandarin, Italian, and Korean, actually, surprisingly, and then Arabic too. A lot of our students want to go to Dubai for work or whatever, so they learn with us for that reason.
And I'm sure you get requests every now and then for language that you don't currently offer.
Yes.
So at what point, do you decide, okay, it's worth offering this language?
So we got this for Dutch, actually. Never in my wildest dreams. I mean, it's an amazing language, but I never thought that so many people would want to learn Dutch. But I think it was this one student who was going to the Netherlands. And he was also a friend, actually. So he was like, please add it. So I did it for him. And he got us like a whole like group of students and stuff
Wow.
like that. So yeah, we implemented Dutch, but for a new language, we usually say we would need like maybe 10 students who want to learn, and then we add it. Because otherwise it's, it takes a lot of time to find a teacher, train a teacher.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the Korean thing, I think it might be because of like the whole like K-pop.
Oh yes,
and
totally,
like,
totally.
the TV shows that
Yes,
have come.
yes. So for Korean, one of our really good students, she's been with us for the longest time ever. She was doing academic Spanish,
Yeah.
and her classes, she still had a couple of classes left. So I was like, okay, do some conversational Spanish. She said, I'm going to ask you for something, but can you please add Korean to the platform? And I couldn't say no to her.
Yeah.
So that's how we added it. And she got us more students because of K-pop and K-drama. It's such a big,
Yeah.
huge thing. So I was like, wow, so many Indian students want to learn Korean. I never even thought about it.
Yeah, very
So
interesting. Yeah, in terms of, I guess, a lot of it makes sense in terms of the business part of it. Like I assume Mandarin or Arabic, like you mentioned, might be more like business
Yes.
focused, whereas like others are more educational or
exactly.
like for fun, I guess.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's cool how you have to like, because you'll probably train your teachers accordingly, because you'll need more business proficient people in like those a particular language
Yes.
versus more educational ones. But you mentioned how right now you're not expanding but hiring people and like trying to, I guess, delegate some of your responsibilities.
Yes.
So I guess what point in your journey did you realize that you have to do it? Like, was there, I guess, a moment?
Yeah, I think when I was at university, because I was balancing out classes and starting a business, from the very beginning, I was like, okay, I can't do this on my own.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were profitable from the first year, but from then I did have to say, okay, we need someone for admin. And then thankfully, we also partnered with, worked with a lot of counseling companies. So they would also provide us with some advice and help. So I think from the first year itself, I knew that I needed people.
team,
And then
yeah.
as a team, exactly. And as it grew as it is growing, I feel the need even more to, delegate my responsibilities so I can focus on other parts of the business.
Yeah, fair enough.
Super interesting. So the entire world of languages reminds me of a company in Philippines, I think. And this is just an article I read, but it was so interesting. I don't remember the company's name. I'm almost sure they're from Philippines, but basically what they're working on is an AI that if you're watching any kind of TV show that is in your non-native language, it's going to kind of understand what the characters are talking about, and then every 3 to 5 minutes you pause it and it'll ask you questions so that you can start picking up the language while watching content.
Right, that's such a good idea.
And it's crazy. Obviously they're far from their goal, but I would think I don't see any kid that is more than 8 years old today without a phone or an iPad in front of them 24/7, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite an interesting. It's definitely going to be of use, I feel.
Yes.
But how would something like that affect your business?
I don't think it would affect our business. In fact, I would collaborate with them,
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah.
So I would go up to them and be like, hey, what you're doing is great. We'll send you students. You send us students. I think that's the way I would look at it. But of course, because at Acing, what we encourage students to do is watch videos, watch movies, listen to music. So we would obviously recommend their business. And I think it's great that it's because a lot of times kids are sitting with their iPad and they're just watching things, and they're not interacting with it. They're not doing anything. So the fact that you're pausing it and getting them to think, that by itself is huge. So I think it wouldn't affect us, but we would want to collaborate with them.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I would say it's a method within the grander scheme of it.
Exactly.
Because I don't know whether you could only learn a language with something like that.
No, absolutely
it would be
not.
very difficult.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you can only learn a language watching a movie.
Yeah.
I think it can add to what you've already learned.
Exactly.
This is a new word. Let me check what it is. So that's why I say it would just be supplementary in that sense. It would complement what we're doing.
The thing about Philippines is they have did you know that the largest gaming market is in Philippines? The largest number of gamers and the highest economy of gaming it comes out of Philippines.
Yeah.
But basically what they're focusing on is gamifying learning experiences.
Yes.
And obviously just from the perspective that it's impossible to get kids to leave their devices now, right?
Yeah.
There was a large resistance by parents to be we don't want our kids to use devices, but I think they failed in that. So now
Right.
people are like, okay, fine, if you're using a device, how can it do better for you?
Exactly. At least be productive while using the
Yeah.
device
Yeah.
if you're anyways going to use it. Yeah.
And in fact, the ex-head of TikTok India,
Mhm.
while TikTok was still active here, has now joined a company. He's part of starting an Edutech platform, which is basically going to be a version of TikTok, but
Okay.
purely for Reels. That's where the kind of question for Edutech also came from. So you obviously, in your case, you gamify the experiences in a lot more organic manner because
Correct.
the teachers themselves do
Mhm.
it. But would you ever kind of lean more into the tech aspect of your business, or do you prefer the human interaction?
I think the human interaction is our biggest USP, and it's not the first time that someone's asked me this question. I think, if I were to gamify it, I think like Duolingo already exists, and there are other platforms doing that already. So maybe at some point we'll add an Acing Languages app in which you can play games. But I think I wouldn't change our business model. I would keep the live classes going because I think that's the human factor is a huge USP. The natives, you switch on your camera or you open the class and you see a French teacher, and sometimes they have apartments in Paris, so you see the Eiffel Tower in the background. So for someone, an Indian kid or
that's
someone
nice.
from Singapore or whatever, they feel like they've reached Paris directly. So that's the atmosphere we want to create.
And then for example, if I'm a student and Jan is a student, would we at any point of learning and let's say we're learning the same
Mhm.
language, interact with each other?
Yes, of course. We have an Acing Languages community. And this is, again, something I want to work on more. We want to have meetings. So, like, all the students in Bombay meet up at one place. When we go to Delhi, we could have a Delhi meeting. So, yes, having students interact is always a great way of moving forward and making them practice with each other.
Yeah, like the conversations that
Yeah.
I guess you can, like, it becomes like a language specific
Exactly.
meetup.
Yes.
And then like they can actually practice it in more conversational
Yes,
terms.
and you can make
versus-
friends with similar
Yeah.
interests as you. So all of that is something that we're working on. We've done a few meetings like that, but we want to do more of it as well.
Does it get tricky because it's like with students you need to like coordinate actually with the parents?
Oh yeah, totally.
Like which
Totally. I
Yeah.
think when they're younger than, I would say, not even 14 years old
Yeah.
or 15, you have to coordinate. So we add the
Yeah.
parents to the group chat. And even when we meet up, we always tell the parents to come as well,
Yeah.
because they're kids at the end of the
Yeah.
day, even if they're 15. Then 16, 17, 18, they start approaching us by themselves.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at that age you're like more independent in terms of
Exactly. And you're more focused,
Yeah.
more serious about life. You want to get into that dream university. So you're like working towards that. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think the toughest thing about dealing with anyone under the age of 18 is your end user
Mhm.
and your buyer are two different people. Your end
Yeah.
user is the
Mhm.
kid, but
Yes.
your buyer is the parent.
Parent. Yes.
So you have to kind of market it to the parent for the kids.
Exactly.
And that's like we've had
Yeah.
educational founders, like founders in the education space on the podcast before, and like this topic always comes up. Like
Right.
it's such a difficult task, like even with toys,
Mhm.
right? Marketing it to the parents for the kids.
Yes. So, one thing I realized, of course, you have to deal with the parent first, because if they're not convinced, they're not gonna,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
their student to sign up. That's the most important thing. So I think the way we do it is we obviously pitch what Acing Languages is. We talk about it, and then we talk about past students. And I think testimonials speak for themselves. Once they're happy with it, then we speak to the kids. Speak in Spanish, make them do a trial class if required, so they
Yeah.
enjoy it, and then they sign up. So it's always through the parent first, and then the child, and then the sign up
Yeah.
happens. So
I
that's
think
the-
it definitely has to be a balance to a certain extent because like you still need to focus on the student or the child because like they need to have a good time where they go back home and are like, oh,
Exactly.
I really enjoyed this, I want to do
yes,
this.
yes.
So it's like, yeah, it's I guess that age group is a tricky one to like.
Yeah, you have to
just
find
stick
that
with.
balance
Yeah.
where the parents are happy and the students are happy, and then making that group chat where we include parents and students and the teacher, so that communication is there. So everyone's
Yep.
aware of what's happening and everyone's happy and satisfied with the
Yeah.
process. So yeah, that requires some work, but it's going well so far.
I guess like yeah, in your entire 3-year journey so far, what has been like your biggest challenge or hiccup that has happened?
My biggest challenge, I would say, was probably while I was at university. I think now, I understand how the business works. I have more experience, and I've been growing personally as a human being as well with the business. But I remember giving my exams. My final exams were going on, And we had this problem with one of the teachers where he was a Parisian teacher. He had a family emergency, so he couldn't teach, and this kid's exams were also coming around the corner. So I remember the mom calling me super stressed. I understand. And I had my exams at the same time. So I was super stressed. I remember leaving the classroom just to take that call. So I remember being like, I can't even tell them I'm a student myself because I have to be professional. And then, of course, I found a replacement who was really good. The student did really well. He got that 7 on 7. But for me, that was a huge challenge, how to balance out my personal student life with the student's personal life,
Yeah.
But I think I prioritized that and we made it happen.
Yeah.
Did you do really well in your exams?
Did I do really well? I think so. I did. Yeah.
I guess so. Before we move on to our next challenge, if you could go back, because you've got such a range of experience, geographically as well.
Right.
If you could go back in time and change just a single thing about your experiences so far, what would it be?
My experiences in general, or
in general,
just
everything.
That's a tough question. This is such a lame answer, but I feel like everything happens for a reason.
I knew it.
And I'll explain why I'm saying this. So when I started Acing Languages, it was in my 3rd year of university, like I said. It actually happened because COVID started. So COVID started, I couldn't go to Singapore. I couldn't do it in person that specific semester. They weren't letting me in because I was traveling from India, and I couldn't go back to Spain and then go because I had to do a 2-week quarantine there. So I would already be missing like a month out of 4. So I remember being super depressed, like crying. And then the idea of starting Acing Languages happened. So at that point, my life had ended. I was like, all of my friends are going. I'm not going. I have to do it online. So I think everything happens for a reason. And when you feel something bad is happening, it's probably because something better is going to happen at some point. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't change anything of my journey, about my journey,
Fair?
Fair enough. Yeah. I'm still hoping for like the good parts to come. But
yeah, can I ask if you would change something about your journey?
Realistically, maybe not. I think like I would like to be more present in a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't think I would change anything particular. Like
Right.
I like the way things have happened, but like I think enjoying the moment, sometimes you only get that in retrospect versus
Right.
being in it at that point. So I guess that's
Correct.
something I would change.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
that's more
taking
for-
life
yeah.
more lightly, like not stressing about things
Yeah,
so
like I'm a
much.
big stressor.
Same.
I have anxiety for like everything. So
Yeah.
like I need to remind myself, being like, okay, like this is good as well. Like
Yeah.
you can enjoy it and not be like complaining or stressed about
Right.
it.
No, I do feel that as well. Like sometimes I feel like I'm too much of a perfectionist, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to my work. And I think sometimes I need to disconnect because I'm always, I was in the US recently, and because of the time zone difference, I had parents calling me at 5 a.m. and I would still wake up and take the call. And, then
Yeah.
I realized that that's, I need to create that boundary, which is why I have 2 phones now. So like a work phone and a personal phone. So yeah. I agree with that. Being a perfectionist is sometimes not the best thing.
Yeah, it gets tricky. And like it's also like just I don't know, like living in it. Like for example, I was in London for the last 6 years, 3 of them working.
Mm.
And in those 3 years, like towards the end, I was really not enjoying my job. But
Yeah.
that didn't mean like I shouldn't have enjoyed London. Like
Mhm.
like it was
Right.
like, oh, like I would complain about being there, but it was also like I was
In
enjoying
London,
like
yeah.
the personal part of my life there.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to balance that. But then like you only understand in retrospect, being like, okay, I spent like 6 months complaining, but like I should have done something about that. Kind
Exactly.
Of thing.
Yeah. You realize later what you had.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I say everything happens for a reason and
Yeah.
just enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's something I've learned over time.
Yeah. Would
Yeah.
you change anything?
I think, yes, I would change one part of my journey, which was when I moved back from London and started working here. I dove like straight into it. And that time we were like working on a few different businesses and a few different ideas. And I just wanted to be on top of everything like all at once,
Mhm.
which made it like very difficult for me to even enjoy dinner sometimes, right? Like I would
Right.
just be all the time thinking about one or the other business.
Mhm.
And I feel like that led to me burning out sometime like December last year.
Mhm.
And then I like really had to like take it easy for a bit. So I was I was okay that it happened, but I would just, if I could go back and change it, I would have tried to enjoy that time a bit more, because it was
Yeah.
also a very exciting time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all set the same point
yeah,
in different
yeah,
ways,
in different
right?
ways.
Like enjoying everything and living in the moment, right? And
Yeah.
being grateful for what we have, I guess.
But yeah, I guess we can move on to our next game, which is 2 truths and 1 lie. So to understand a little bit more about your journey, we're going to ask you to give us 3 statements
Mhm.
from which 2 things are going good and or is the truth and 1 is the lie. And then Anuj and I have to guess which one is the lie.
Got it. Perfect.
It can be from your professional journey, personal journey, whatever you like.
Just so you know, I'm a horrible liar, but I will try my best, okay?
Okay.
So I will tell you. The first one is that I climbed the Great Wall of China. The second one is that I went dog sledding in Alaska. And the third one is that I participated in San Fermin in Spain, and we had bulls running behind us.
Or like
So-
the ZNMD.
The bull run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with number 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Great Wall of China.
Okay. That you think that's the lie,
Yeah.
right? Okay, he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't imagine me running with bulls. I probably wouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
you have a very clear time.
Yeah.
What was it that?
Her face was like horribly straight when she said the third one.
Really?
I
Yeah.
told you I'm a really bad liar.
I don't play this game based on like merits
Yeah,
of
he
what you're
doesn't.
saying. I just look at the person like
He
dead straight to
observes.
see what, like, you know,
Yeah.
which statement they said differently.
Yeah.
And for you, it was the third one.
Why did you think the Great Wall was a lie?
It was like the most normal out of the 3.
Right.
The other 2 were like
quite
adventurous.
crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, Great Wall of China. Like
Yeah.
that's a comment.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
No,
Why
but
not?
the way you thought, your thought process was right.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
actually did climb it.
Even
That's
I did
crazy.
that.
Yeah.
Or half of it. Or I don't know. Like in Beijing, do you climb the whole
Mhm.
thing? I don't
Yeah,
know.
you can.
I want to say yes, but I didn't.
Oh, okay. I got the medal. Does that count?
I'd
as-
say,
Okay.
but you buy the medal, right?
Really? I can't remember.
I think I bought mine.
Okay.
And then you all a very embarrassing story. So we'd gone to China for a maths tournament through school. And so there was one teacher accompanying us and about 5 of our students.
Yeah.
And we after the tournament was done and everything, we kept another day just to like go
Mhm.
around. So we went to the Great Wall of China. And that time I was a very fat, unfit kid.
Really? I
And-
can't imagine that.
Yeah, I was like massive. So we started climbing, and then it was me and the teacher, who, not to be rude, was also not particularly
Mhm.
fit. And so she she had like a leg issue and stuff. So she, I think 100 steps in was like, hey guys, I'm not doing this. It's way like, because you can see that like
Yeah.
the
And it's
journey
uneven
that's
as
left.
well.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
So she was like, I'm not doing this. I can't
Mhm.
do this. And then I looked at the rest of the group and I was like, you know what, guys, y'all carry on. I'll take care of
Mhm.
ma'am. I'll take her back down. Because I was dead at that point. I could
You
not
just acted
like,
like
I was
an
trying to-
Asian.
lift my leg up and go. And then one of my like best friends who was on the trip, he looked at me, he laughed, and then
He was
oh,
he
you're
was like
such a
cheeky.
teacher.
So he was like, that's so cheeky. You got some bonus points with the teacher, I hope. She gave you a
she also knew. She was like, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
she
I know
knew.
you can't climb. Come, we go back down. We sat at the gift shop.
Oh no.
But like there were all those like cringy like photo spots like out, like you put your head out and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember there was this little kid, a little Chinese boy, super cute, leaning down. And me and my mom, we were getting anxiety, like
Yeah.
because we were so scared he would fall. And the mom was sitting right there indifferent, like chilling, taking her
Yeah.
pictures. I remember both of us running and we were like, please, like hold your kid, like he's gonna fall and stuff. And she was
Yeah.
like, okay. Yeah.
But
That's-
yeah, no, it was fun ish, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was fun. The pictures were fun, right?
Yeah. And the medal apparently that I think I might have
Exactly.
bought.
Yeah, you definitely bought it. I think so. I mean, I did.
Yeah.
They were selling it when you go down. They're like, "Oh, congrats! You won it," and I'm like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "Buy it," and then they charge you some amount.
Maybe because like we were in a massive group and we went like with school as well. I went for H1 to Beijing,
Okay.
so I don't know. Like, yeah, if we pay, like I don't think my school paid, so it's probably that we might have, and I've just like blocked it from my memory. but-
Okay. Yeah. It's good to discard all the,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
things
like,
you don't want
obviously
to
I got the
remember.
medal,
Yeah.
like-
Same. We can edit that part
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Cool. Let's go on to our next game. This
Mhm.
one's called Red Flags. So we're going to give you 3 hypothetical situations.
Mhm.
In each situation, there are 2 things that are going great and one that's not so great. That's
Okay.
a red flag. assume all the statements to be true, and then you have to pick which of these three situations you'd rather be in.
Okay.
Right. So situation one is that Acing Languages has over 10,000 monthly active users, so 10,000 students. Your team is now 100 people strong, but your users' learning rates are massively below competitor standards.
Okay.
Situation two is Acing Languages now offers more than 20 languages on the platform. You have been able to increase your margins since last year, but one of your teachers makes derogatory remarks to a student. Situation three is Duolingo has offered to acquire you. You now have a co-founder that has really helped scale the business, but you are 5 years into the business and haven't broken even yet.
I mean,
Ooh.
technically, that you have
You have to assume. Yeah, you have to assume it to be true.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
we'll
But
give
even
you
though we've been profitable since year one, I have to assume that
You have to assume that for
yeah.
5 years you've not made any money.
Yes, like the
Okay.
next 5 years.
Acing Languages has over 10,000 monthly active users. So I would choose number one
Okay.
because I really don't think Acing Languages has competitors because I don't think anyone's doing what we're doing. So I wouldn't say that the red flag applies. So that's the reason why I choose situation one, because it's only a plus for us.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's the loophole, a different one.
Yeah.
It's good for me also to think about these things, and I think for the viewers as well, maybe they can relate to something like this as well. Yeah,
I
it
think,
was a good one.
My main takeaway is always, what does good mean for the business?
Yeah.
Like,
Correct.
basically, like, you from the outside, right? Like, I'm sure you've come across people who say that, oh, you've got like 7 languages, you must be making a lot of money. But like, you never know, like,
Right.
people just make assumptive
Of course,
statements.
absolutely. And I think, when I say, like, for example, we've had 10 languages on the platform, or we have 50 teachers, it's like automatically, oh my God, your business is huge. It's massive. Yes, we're profitable, but, it's the 2 languages that we have the most students in. Maybe for another language, you only have 15, 20 students, right? Whereas for Spanish and French, we have hundreds of students. So again, it's not about the number of languages. It's about how many students are learning each language, all of that. Yes.
And it's a lot about perception as well. Like, for example, a couple of people, like one of the situations that you had was, like Duolingo has offered to acquire you. A lot of people don't treat that as a red flag.
Right.
Like, they don't want to be acquired.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's like, oh, you have 100 people, strong people. Like, some of them were like, oh, I only want 20 people in my team or 5 people in my team. Like, I don't want to grow more.
Yeah. No, when I read the Duolingo one, I thought about that as well. I was like, would we want to be, acquired? I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, at least at where I am right now, I wouldn't want to.
So yeah, that's also interesting to see, like, in different stages of like a business where people count something as a red or a green flag.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and I think also scaling really, I think one of them, probably the one I chose as well, it's at 10,000 students or 100,000 students or something like that. I think that by itself, even though I chose it, would be a red flag, because for us, we want to maintain our quality. So even though we could grow from, say, like 300 students to maybe 600 in the next year and a half or whatever, that's something I don't want to do, because I want to make sure the quality is maintained throughout.
Like, I guess 10,000 monthly students would mean you need that many teachers.
That many teachers who are good, you know? Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, our final segment is the rapid fire. So self-explanatory. We're going to give you questions and you have to give us rapid answers.
Okay, I will try my best.
So how many days of leave have you taken in the last year?
Oh my God, no day.
Your proudest moment with Acing Languages?
I think when we were featured on the Times of India, when they put the logo at my university, like they stuck our logo up there, I was very excited. And no one told me. I saw it one day and I was like, why didn't anyone inform me? It was very exciting.
That's really surreal. Like if you're just walking and you see something like that.
Yes.
Have you learned a language through Acing Languages?
I have. I was part of some of the Mandarin classes. I'm not going to lie. I was, of course, checking our teachers' quality, not learning the language. No. I picked up a few phrases here and there, speaking to teachers and learning a language in general. Yeah.
How many languages do you know?
I speak 6 languages. And then I did a little bit of German, but I wouldn't count it as the 7th. No.
Fair. Your emotion when you first fired someone?
It's really hard, but I had to tell them, the way things were. I sent them a screenshot of what the feedback about how they were performing. And I just said that, if you don't change, you're going to have to leave. And they said, okay, I'm leaving. So I was like, fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What did you do when you made your first profit?
It was actually in the second month of Acing Languages being incorporated. I didn't spend it. I just saved it. But I was very excited. I went for a meal with my family and I was like, now I can pay for it.
Wow, yeah. Books or podcasts?
Podcasts.
iPad or notebook?
iPad.
Are you-
Notebook. I love taking notes. I'm a nerd that way, yes.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, night owl.
Really?
For
Okay.
sure, yes.
And your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Okay. So yeah, that concludes our rapid fire segment, almost bringing us to the end of the podcast. We ask every guest to ask the next guest a question. So we are first going to show you what our previous guest asked.
Okay. Thank you.
The question is, how would you want to be remembered 100 years after you've passed away?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
first of
heavy
all.
question.
Yeah.
How would I want to be remembered?
I think the 100 years also thing. Like that means
Yeah.
legacy to a certain extent.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. I mean, I would be honored if people remembered me 100 years from now. But I think I would want people to remember me not for the things that I've left behind, but for the the actions and the way I've changed or shaped people's lives, hopefully at some point. So, whether it's with languages, if someone's able to say that I'm able to speak this language or communicate, thanks to you, that by itself would be a huge thing for me. I'm also working at a school right now, BD Samani.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yes, in my free time. And one of the parents in the interview, I was having a parent-teacher meeting, and they told me that this specific student has opened up so much, like because he's a very shy person, because of your Spanish class. So when I heard that to me meant the world, that I was able to impact someone's life or change someone's life in that way. So yeah, hopefully if I created that with many students, and they remembered me 100 years from now, that would mean a lot to me.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for
This has
having
been,
me.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, I did. Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup. Je suis très contente. Very happy to be here.
In every language, all the six languages.
All the six languages. Grazie mille. Dhanyavad. Yeah.
Fair.
But thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah.